Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Please let me know if you can hear me. I'm watching the comment section because that's slightly important. And as soon as I know you can hear me, I will jump right into things. Sometimes my studio view doesn't actually show your comments, so I'm going to go open the actual live stream here and see if I can see them there. Oh, I can see them now. Excellent. All right, guys, it is 7 p.m. here and still light out. How fantastic is that? I am back in Vancouver. It is really good to be here. Been over a year now and was a hell of an adventure to get over. Of course, I told you all my border shenanigans story, getting my devices searched through, which, I don't know. Wait, do you guys want to get into political discussion first or life updates? I guess I've already jumped into life updates, so I'll do that first. Getting a call, but you know what? You guys are more important. Hang up. See ya. So I had all my devices searched through at the border when I was coming over into Canada. They took my hard drives, my cell phones, my computer, wouldn't let me watch what they were doing, wouldn't tell me if they downloaded my information, wouldn't tell me if they put spyware on my computer. So it just happened to work out perfectly that while I'm here, I made plans to start streaming on Twitch and kind of needed a new computer for that. Plus, I'm feeling very uncomfortable on my own computer right now. Every time I Google something, it's not that I'm looking up particularly weird stuff, but it's like, what is that rash? Or looking up research for a video. I remember when I was doing research for my video debunking the Christchurch claims about me, and the whole time I was doing research, it was like, this mass shooting, that mass shooting. When did this massacre happen? And I was like, holy shit. If any government were watching my search results right now, they would literally think I was about to shoot up a school. So, even if something you're doing is completely innocuous, completely all right, it can be so easily taken out of context or, in this day and age, be seen as an act of extremism. You have people going to court in America, I can't remember what, Ricky Vaughn or something, going to court over memes in the States. So I remember when they were searching through my stuff and I was like, I know for a fact I'm not a radical. I know for a fact I do nothing criminal. I am above board with everything I do, whether it be my business, the money I spend, the people I interact with. I know it's all okay, but what if there's a meme I've sent, like one of those I'm going to shoot you in Minecraft memes, that they just take the wrong way? So I'm feeling very uncomfortable with my computer at the moment, but very wonderfully, I've just ordered a new one for the first time in 5 years, another MSI, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. I've been using the MSI Leopard Pro since right when I started Patreon. Some of you guys would have helped me get this laptop. It means a lot to me. It's missing. The HDMI cord is broken. So I've actually got this camera on a second screen that I can't plug into it because the HDMI is broken. The back of the laptop cover is chipped and broken. It's got a giant dent in the front of it, probably from a riot in France. And the graphics card is just starting to fail me. It's starting to glitch up. I'll try to do recordings on the computer of things I'm doing live, and it'll just totally go kaput, which is a bit sad because my next laptop doesn't arrive until the 13th, and I really wanted to stream this debate that I'm having with Surfs TV. But so what? Very exciting. New MSI laptop coming in. Not only that, I got new headset, one of those stream decks. You can look it up. I just got the 6-button stream deck so that I can advance here, put the chat up on screen, put whatever I'm watching up on screen. And tomorrow night I'm doing a full-fledged course with someone who does professional streaming on how to use OBS Streamlabs. So when I talk to you guys here, I can show you what I'm doing. I won't be full boomer tier. So that's the life update. That's what's going on over here. Not all that's going on. I'm still going to be, I think when I'm out of quarantine, of course I have some family duties to catch up on, the funeral to go to. But once that is all done, I think I might do a little on-the-ground investigation video on the shenanigans going on here in Canada. I'm sorry, it is so hot. Probably sweating. Let me check out the comments here. And I think, I'll try to adjust the lighting here a bit. It's not that great. All right. We've got Mike here, Anthony here, Georgely, Thomas, Leantric, Anthony. I think I said Anthony twice. Well, hello twice, Anthony, Thomas, Scott. Glad to have you all here. Glad this time worked out. Georgely, you are up till like, what is it, 2 a.m. there? That's based. But I'm sorry, I really need to do a European stream. All right, sorry, I'm looking at. Anthony says, lucky you were able to still make and release videos. I know, thank goodness. I still, I'm always having to go through, get my little hamster wheel in my brain going. And every time I upload a video, I'm like, how is this going to affect my life? Am I going to get arrested? Am I going to, that's how crazy it is. I feel like we're literally in a fascist state at the moment. But I also have this other side of me that's like, I think I've just been put on a list and nothing I do will change that. Nothing I do will take me off that list. And I don't think I can get put on any worse of a list. When you're not allowed in the freest country on earth, America, you're, I don't think there's much else I can do. Oh my gosh, Georgie says it's 4 a.m. there. I'm sorry. Oh. Lantrick says, unfortunately, it's all a matter of perspective and whose narrative the ones in power choose to listen to. That's a very good point, too, because I thought about this and how scary it is that, like, I was being questioned by Border Force about videos I made and about articles that mainstream media had written about me. So if the media choose to lie about someone because, I don't know, they're just socially ostracized, it's popular to criticize them. I mean, think of all the people in history that have been socially ostracized. It's most groups. And then the government can just use the media and culture socially ostracizing someone to treat them like a criminal. Like in the 50s, even not that long ago, I did a ghost tour, a history tour about alcohol of Vancouver City a few years ago. And they were telling us about the Chinese head tax. Shush, dogs. They were telling us about the Chinese head tax and discrimination against Chinese immigrants and how the media would write all these crazy articles accusing them of being literally like in cahoots with the devil. Imagine if the government could just use those articles to then arrest all Chinese people and treat them like criminals. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm a conservative. It doesn't matter that, the idea of the government just being able to arrest someone because they're socially ostracized in any day and age should always be seen as wrong, but it's just not anymore. And this is all part of the slippery slope to the monstrous disaster we are all headed to, the light at the end of the tunnel, which is another train. Oh man, I have some things to talk about today. So yes, let's quickly jump into my debate with the serfs coming up in 2 days. My second is actually someone I have semi-debated before and was in Crossfire. My second is Connor, or Counterpoints. He was the police officer I interviewed for Crossfire. And then Lance has some Native activists that's coming on with him to talk. I thought Connor would be good since he was a cop. So talking about retributive justice and the idea of, actually, I didn't even explain to you what the debate, let me go back. So we are debating the church burnings in Canada, the residential schools, and what is going on right now. My position is all of the stuff with mass graves going on, all of the residential school talk happening in Canada is totally overblown by the media. There hasn't been a proper investigation into this. It is causing literal terrorism as a result, where people are burning down churches, committing hate crimes, and this is monstrous. Lance, I reckon his position is burning down churches is just an expression of pain. It's just, it's the result of genocide. And, what is burning down a church in comparison to genocide going on? There's an active genocide going on against natives in Canada, which is, of course, an absurd position. But this is the debate we're going to have. And I do not know first of all, how he is going to prove any sort of genocide happening in Canada today. And I also don't know how he is going to defend literal terrorist hate crimes, but we'll see. The mental gymnastics I see from progressives in this video sphere can get pretty damn impressive. So anyways, I started going down a train of thought before this that I have completely lost. Right. I've been talking about this church problem for a while now. You probably saw I did an interview with Michael Knowles the other day. I actually did that interview like last month, but they just put it up. So I don't know what went down there. And something that has been really pissing me off, just really grinding my gears, I may even make an individual video on this, is whenever I talk about the residential school programs, whenever I talk about the church burnings, I am always very deliberate in ensuring I concede points that are true, even if they generally are leftist talking points. So residential schools having problems. Of course, like you would have to be an idiot to not think that were true. Kids were forcibly taken from their parents and sent to schools to be culturally assimilated into a bunch of immigrants that came to the country. And you know what? There are arguments to be made for, well, some of these tribes literally murdered 30% of their female babies. Like there was horrific stuff going on there. But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, taking children away from their parents and forcing them into your religion and all these different things, and also actual abuse that has been documented, people being sexually assaulted, beaten, whatever, it doesn't change the fact that that happened. And yes, I think the narrative around that and saying this only happened at residential schools is absurd. It's stupid. If you literally read any autobiography of any old English British author that went to the wealthiest boarding schools in the 1900s, they will talk about boarding school abuse they endured. This was sadly just the norm. And yet, and once you acknowledge that, once you concede that, then you can go on to talking about reality. Well, that is part of reality. And then you can go on and be like, yes, that happened, but these are not mass graves. This was not a genocide. That's absurd. And burning down churches is wrong. But if you don't concede what the other side is saying that is accurate, you're just going to look like an insane person to anyone in the middle that might be watching. And that is important because a lot of conservatives will say you can't concede anything to the left because they'll just never agree with you anyways. And they'll just take that and push you even harder. But they're like they said, they'll never agree with you anyways. So you're not trying to convince them. You're trying to convince the people watching. And if you don't concede on things that are true, you're going to look like an insane person. It's like this is why leftists have had such a problem, is you'll get in an argument with them and you'll just ask them, hey, do men and women have differences? And you'll literally see their brains short circuit. They're like, I mean, I know this to be true, but that's also a conservative talking point, so I can't say that. So no, there's no differences between men and women. And then anyone watching will think they're insane, even if in their mind, they're just trying to not concede any ground to a conservative. So you gotta concede things that are true, lest you become the people who say drinking water is bad because Hitler did it. Like, don't just disagree with something because a leftist says it. And this is what's frustrating me, is I keep seeing all these comments on anytime I talk about residential schools, all the comments below my video, Michael Knowles' video, they're saying, Lauren is such a liberal progressive on this. How dare you say Canada was evil? Are you... one guy on Michael Knowles' video literally said, Lauren, this is completely false because child sex abuse didn't start happening in schools until the 1950s. What? Like, what level of I cannot agree with liberals on anything are you on to say that? Pedophilia was invented in the 1950s? Really? I cannot stand it. And I'm really appreciative of you guys. After I lost like 200,000 followers when I came back, I've noticed my comment section is significantly more sane. And a lot of the people that were in Michael Knowles' comment section going off about how I was suddenly a leftist because I admitted abuse actually happened in these schools. Like, I don't have those people in my comment section as much anymore, which is good because I don't want that. I want people who can concede that drinking water is good even though Hitler did it. Like, I want people who can concede points or realities even if they dislike the person that holds or does that point or reality, if that makes sense. Otherwise, we're like, there's no point. If we get to the point where we just can't concede anything, we can't admit truths that the other side presents, then we're not fighting for truth anymore, and I don't want to be a part of it. All right, let's see. Right, and the whole point of this, once again, is to get to the end result of providing a cohesive, proper argument that this was not a genocide and we shouldn't be burning churches down. And the most convincing way of doing that is presenting the full truth. Gonna go look at some of the comments here. Modal Operator says, I think it's interesting these revelations were made public in the lead up to Canada and was used to promote the Cancel Canada Day movement. It fits into the post-national globalist agenda. Yeah, what's crazy is we knew about these graves. They came up, there's something called the Truth and Reconciliation investigation that happened in Canada. It was released in 2015. And they looked into all of this. They did a report. They said sorry. Canada even invented its own definition of genocide just so that we could call what happened in Canada a cultural genocide, but it doesn't match the terms of genocide in any other country or UN or anything. But we really like to self-flagellate. And yeah, this document highlighted all of it. So let's quickly look at what sparked this conversation again and why it got so toxic. So I think it was in Kamloops, Kelowna, somewhere around there, a tribe found 215 bodies. This story blew up, went everywhere. And in fact, I'm just going to quickly get up a document that I've got here that has some of the details because this is insane. So, sorry guys, this is important. I promise you, this story is going to blow your mind. Okay, so the 215 graves, unmarked graves, were found by the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Tk'emlúps band, and they issued a press statement that they had done a ground radar, and they claimed after they did this ground radar that in mid-June, they were going to release a full report about what was found. Because here's the thing. A ground radar cannot detect bodies. It can't. And not only did the band not provide who did the ground radar, whether it was a university, a private company, state workers, they provided no details. They just said this. And the media took it up by storm. Now, this is what's funny. If you read so if you read the articles that came out after this claim, once again, with no proof provided, here's what you get. You get NPR saying 215 children, including some as young as 3, have been found in a mass grave. The CTV said 215 children were recently uncovered. The Canadian press said unmarked burial site believed to contain the remains of 215 children. CBC said 215 children could be buried at the site. Global said children were discovered at an unmarked burial, and CBC said they had confirmed the presence of the remains of 215 children. Now, surprisingly, the only 2 websites here that actually, or media outlets here that were actually accurate were the Canadian Press and CBC, who said could be buried and believed to contain. Because once again, the Kamloops Tk'emlúps tribe or band, they provided no proof. So they say they found them at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. Now, here's what the very interesting aspect is. They claimed that they were going to do a deeper investigation since ground penetration can't tell you everything. They were going to uncover, have, a proper, there's a word for it, excavation. They were going to have a proper excavation and release all the details in a proper document in June. Take a guess what happened with that document. Take a guess what happened in June, because what month are we in now? August. Nothing. We haven't seen it. It doesn't exist. They never provided it. And you know why I reckon they didn't? Because, and this is just a guess, I could be wrong, but I think it's a pretty educated guess. I think that ground radar showed them something that either wasn't what they thought it was or is not going to fit in with the media narrative. And They know if they just never release a report, this story will keep on rolling forward. They'll never have to apologize. They'll never have to correct themselves. They can just zip their lips because the media will never investigate this since they all jumped on this. They all went out here and told everyone there was a damn genocide that happened, caused dozens of hate crimes across the country. Literal Egyptian immigrants and Vietnamese refugee churches being burnt down. If you didn't know the context of this, you would think it was far-right hate crimes happening, and the media would probably report that if it weren't so damn obvious who were doing it. This is literally all over nothing, guys. I guess not nothing, but over something we don't know. We have no confirmation. We don't know the context. We don't even know if there were bodies yet. No proof has been provided, and I'm literally going to pull my hair out and die. But obviously, all of this information, as infuriating as it is really, really awesome for my debate. Because I do not know how Lance is going to defend this. Lance is the Surfs TV guy. We are going to commit hate crimes over a mass grave genocide that has no proof. Zero. And zero context to it. In fact, and when they said they were going to provide proof, they didn't. And they can, because you can excavate. It's not like we're talking about, oh no, the story is just lost. This is 10,000 years old. I guess it's just word of mouth. No. Like, they can investigate. They said they would, and then they didn't for a reason. And we need to find out what the damn reason is. Lauren's got some ideas. Lauren might be going on a road trip. Do you think I should? Anthony says, it sounds like you've done tons of debate preparation. Oh, my friend. I've been preparing my whole life for this. No. Luckily, I'm Canadian, so I do have context to a lot of this. But I know the annoying thing is going to be with this Indigenous activist that's going to come on. He's going to be, quite frankly, just far more versed in Indigenous issues than me. And it's going to be particular policy issues, particular band fights and stuff. And that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on just, let's talk about these graves that were uncovered, because that's what sparked this conversation. Let's talk about whether the media reports were accurate or not. And let's talk about whether burning down churches in response to it is right. And in a sane world, everyone would agree with me on this. Don't burn down people's religious buildings because of crimes they didn't commit and had nothing to do with 100 years ago. But I think the challenge in this debate is going to be getting these people to focus on that, because I think they know that it's not a winning talking point. I don't even know. It's like the Xander Hall debate where he challenged me to debate my book and how evil it was, a children's book saying, hey, be kind and be humble. Think critically, free speech. You can't argue against it, yet he challenged me to a debate on it. And now this Surfs guy has challenged me to a debate on burning down churches. And my position is that is bad. I don't know. Maybe these people just have a kink for getting stepped on. I don't know, guys. I couldn't tell you, but it'll be fun. We'll see if I can get the stream set up by then. I don't know if my graphics card will be good enough for it. Oh my gosh. I have literally hid every mess in this room in drawers and in closets here, and I forgot to hide that mess. It looks clean, but it's all just hidden messes. Thomas said, even if it were a mass grave, shock horror, most kids back in the day never made it into adulthood, yet alone their teens, due to common diseases. And this is something that the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, the document that they released, which is very pro-Indigenous, very simple. Like I said, they literally invented a new term for genocide just to define it in Canada. This is not some progressive, or this is not some right-wing conservative document. They found that it was mostly tuberculosis that killed kids at these schools. Poor conditions, duh, of course. There is a difference between lining a bunch of people up, making them dig a grave, shooting them in the head, and then burying it. And this is a really good point. I've seen my friend Destiny, he's actually made this point that if you say this is genocide, and if you say that a genocide is happening today, people should arm themselves and take down the government. So when you sit here and make claims like this, these claims, of course, lead to the result of terrorism happening. And when they aren't accurate and when they're exaggerated, you are like, of course it's going to cause problems. The left love to make fun of the right for saying everything is like 1984. Oh my gosh, my Netflix account expired. This is like 1984. I can't watch my favorite show now. But they're literally like, my mom told me to go to my room. This is literally genocide. My mom told me I couldn't hang out with my friend. This is segregation and genocide. For all the times they make fun of the right for this 1984 stuff, dude, at least we're not saying everything's genocide. Come on, people. Here's the thing, too. You can think something is wrong, because I know that, if that clip ever leaked, people would take that so out of context. You can admit something is wrong. Like, you can say residential schools and the abuse that happened to them was wrong, but it's still not genocide. Your girlfriend slapping you is wrong, and I'm against that, but it's not a genocide. We have definitions for a reason. We have definitions for words so we can properly interact with the world and understand concepts. Of course. And one definition, the response to that definition is we revolt against the government. So don't use that inaccurately. Just dumb, stupid. I like Sarlat's comment here. What's your next debate? Kicking puppies? Pro or con? Yeah, I don't know who's going to challenge. At this rate, I think there'll be another leftist YouTuber that will challenge me to that debate, and he'll be like, definitely pro kicking puppies. Good luck, Lauren. I'm going to own you. Ugh. Murder, good or bad? Modal operator says, pastors are also being put in jail in Canada. It seems to be a concerted attack on Christianity and traditional values. I really try not to be a conspiracy theorist. I try so hard, guys. But that Alex Jones was right jar just keeps filling up all my quarters. I don't know what to do because I don't want to be one. But it's true. Like, the amount of discrimination going on against churches, literal hate crimes that we are observing, actual government going in and having, small-sized armies patrolling a church to make sure people don't worship, even though they're in front of the cops protesting all side by side anyways. You're not seeing this stuff happen at mosques. You're not seeing this stuff happen when government officials are all crowded together at their little wine and dine dinner parties. It's happening at churches. And that's, yeah. It doesn't surprise me that people are sitting here and think that there's some globalist operation against Christianity. Doesn't surprise me that people think that. Leantric's got a good debate idea. Should we kick babies or not? That's, I will see if, I'm sure there'll be a swath of leftists who will want to debate me on that. You have reignited debating on YouTube. Yes, something I realized, I was always very gun shy about it the last few years, and I've really realized that there's just people that are not very clever that have massive followings on YouTube. And you assume because they have a massive following and they can make so much content and talk about politics all day, that they must be pretty damn smart. They must be pretty educated on the subjects that they're talking about. But even the smartest YouTubers that I've talked to, they get things wrong all the time. And if you leave it to a human conversation and you're willing to admit things you don't, this is the best advice my father ever gave me. Know what you know what you kind of know, and know what you don't know. And if you stay in your lane and you're very honest, nope, don't know that, you're not going to get caught in these debate traps where you're arguing something that you don't have the answers to and you're getting completely pummeled and owned by the other person because you can just go, nope, not my subject of expertise. And then when you really know something, let's go for it. And there's a good chance that the other side, because they just want to get a fiery debate on YouTube, they just want to disagree with you, they will step into a minefield of a subject that they know nothing about just for the sake of disagreeing with you. And I think that's going to be a lot of my debates going forward. I mean, I'm sure I'll mess up. It's live. You're not perfect. You can't fact check everything. I really hate nothing more than sitting on a live stream and having someone blast statistics at me when I have no time to actually go look into the methodology or read the study. on stream. If you read these 7 books, I'll give you a reading list. And if you read these studies and these cross references to the studies, and here's a, what are they called? Here's a meta-analysis for you, Lauren. You'll know I'm right. Like, as if I'm going to be able to go over any of that on stream. Just absurd. I guess you won. No. I'll work a bit up. I'll work a bit on my debating. It'll be fun, especially when I'm going to be doing Twitch. And I think it'll be really good to come back to you guys and we can troubleshoot and bounce back and forth what you think I did right, what you think I did wrong, how I can improve my approach. You guys can be my debate coaches as we go forward. But yeah, I would love to go live on Twitch this week with Lance debate, but unfortunately my computer doesn't arrive for 10 days. So 10 days, probably 2 weeks, I'll get that stream up and running on Twitch. I also think there is a massive just need for some different voices on Twitch. We need less socialists playing video games and more people, more diversity of thought. I get it. I get when people critique me and they say, Lauren, you need to be on alternative platforms. People who like me and want to watch my content will follow me where I go because they enjoy what I do. My prerogative is to have the people that enjoy what I do feel like they have someone that can express their ideas properly and that gives them some relief and, oh my gosh, I'm not insane. This girl gets it too. But also, very importantly, to talk to other people who have never heard my ideas before or our thoughts before. And you just can't do that. I talk about this way too often, I know. But I just see the comments all the time. So my prerogative is always to talk to new people. And I think that Twitch is a great place to do that. Although I feel like a total boomer on Twitch. Don't understand how any of it works. Barely could update my profile. So wish me luck on my full-blown course tomorrow night. Dirty Cleggy says, you should debate Vanish next. I think he might mean Vosh, but I think that's very funny. I will vanish him. I was just watching the Vosh, Charlie Kirk, Tim Pool debate, and Vosh was actually they were all being very friendly. I was surprised. I think everyone is so exhausted of blood sports that even if a debate does get a bit spicy and there's disagreement here and there, you're not seeing, other than maybe on smaller channels, you're not seeing the same level of like screaming at each other. You're an effing this, you're that. I'm going to go live stream myself, like having debates in the streets and getting into fist fights. I think people are really just exhausted. A riot is no longer even exciting to see on YouTube because it's like, yeah, I literally look out my window and I see that. That's every Tuesday for me in Kenosha, you know? It's just not that exciting anymore. So I actually think people are really craving intelligent back and forths. Yes, spicy. Yes, not, not just agreeing on everything and dancing around the issue, but human. That's what people want. It's getting a bit tiring just seeing characters scream at each other. Oh, Anthony says, you're good at debating and very compelling. Makes up for the tedious leftists you talk to. I do my best. And I know some people get frustrated because they're like, why are you so kind? You're so, like, why do you concede so many things? Well, I'll just be upfront with this. Like, I have friends that are like crazy progressives in real life. Once I'm, I think in 3 weeks, I'm going for a night up to my friend's lake house, and we're having a friend over. And one of my friends is a published feminist, hardcore activist who ran one of the Indigenous genocide rallies here. And we get along great. But we entered this age, and this is part of the reason that I am right-wing, is because in 2015, 2016, when I got into politics, the only people who would allow me to talk to others who disagreed with me, the only people who said it was okay if I'm friends with people who disagree with me, were the right. The left were these insane authoritarians who were like, nope, you can't even talk to a right-winger. Nope, you can't even talk about anything, or it's bigotry, or we need to censor that. And I didn't want to have any part in that because I love having a diverse group of thought in my friend groups. And as long as they don't want me to die, as long as they aren't screaming at me and they treat me respectfully and like I am a human being with feelings and love and motivations in life too and hope, then I can get along with them fine. And that goes for these online leftists too. But if an online leftist wants to start screeching at me, well, what's that phrase? It's a really good one. Never start a fight, but always finish it. That's my prerogative going into this. Do we need the left to clean up the left? We need everyone to clean up their own backyards. I mean, I think that's probably, I think the right should clean up the right and the left should clean up the left because we've all got problems. Some of us more than others. I wasn't talking about myself. I was talking about progressives. But while drinking, I could see how that's taken. It could be taken different ways. It's one beer, all right? It's 7 p.m. and it's light. I think I'd have to drink 8 of these to even get tipsy. And it's a Corona. The only time I want to see this word for the rest of my life is in a bar. Lantrick says, because it's a debate. Well, I think people have confused debate with screaming at each other with gotchas and sound bites. Precisely. Could you imagine? I used to really enjoy watching Oxford debates and university debates where they had the semi-nerdy guys, 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other, and they'd bring up their little 5-minute opening statement, and some of them would debate ideas they completely disagreed with, but it was part of the debate club. And I used to love watching those because it was so interesting to see these compelling and thoughtful arguments. And there was passion behind some of them where they know they had the other team. They knew they got them on some factual or moral argument. And that died for a long while. Is it really a Corona without a lemon wedge? That is a very good point. I don't even think I could fit a lemon. This is the first time I've drank a Corona out of a can. I'll tell you that. I couldn't go get them because I'm in quarantine. So I had to send off a little messenger to pick them up for me. It's no longer a Corona without a virus. Lime, not lemon. I do usually do lime. All right, there was like 2 other things I wanted to talk about, and they have completely slipped my memory. Sorry, very loud music. I'm going to text someone to turn that down. I will answer your questions now until I can remember what it is I wanted to chat about. I think that's the Jungle Book. Mask issues on the plane. I just wear the mask. I just want to see my family. I just want to get to the funeral. As much as I think it's ridiculous, we sit there, and if you have a beer in front of you and you're in this tight plane with very little air circulation, but as long as you have a beer in front of you, you can't wear a mask, like as if the mask is doing literally anything in this situation. But they say the seatbelts in planes are actually just to hold your body there if the plane crashes. So if I have to do it to see my family and go to the funeral, then I will. And I hate that is the situation we're in right now, where most of the motivations for things I'm doing are not, hey, I think this is actually a great policy that is good for society, and I'm really glad the government have implemented it. They are, my family are being held hostage, and if I don't do this, I won't see them, so F it. We are all in a severely abusive relationship with the government. It's bad. It's not great. I just saw, I felt so bad. Let me read this. I think this is in Australia, quarantine hotel. I'm looking forward to going back there because I have family that I love very much there, but I am not looking forward to getting back into my abusive relationship with the Australian government. Let me check this tweet out. Okay. So this guy, Australian writer, Misha Saul, runs something called the Eureka Podcast, investor, lives in New South Wales. He tweeted out, I was meant to collect my wife and 3 kids from quarantine this morning. She had a cough. They've tested her 3 times in 4 days after 14 days isolation, all negative. They're not releasing them as they wait for another test and the discharge admin process. How is this allowed? How is this not false imprisonment? On what basis can the health chief determine she poses a risk? Magic? How many negative tests does she have to return? Can they hold her indefinitely? We're hitting Kafkaesque walls of bureaucracy. Like, yeah, so he also tweeted the New South Wales Minister for Health. I've been in touch with your office, who were lovely, but who is responsible? She has 3 kids under 5 isolation and have had enough tests for a small nation. Release my family. Dude, being in isolation, being in a hotel with children, especially infants, is psychotic. It's clearly whoever made these policies does not have kids, which wouldn't surprise me because that tends to be the case with bureaucrats. It's like that. What does that have to do with health? If someone has tested negative 4 times, what policy, what logic is behind this? There is none. And it's like, I'm sure this guy's losing his mind. The one positive thing is everyone that goes through this is going to definitely have a lot of skepticism towards government. And, that can be a positive and a negative. It can be a negative in the sense that people will not want structure or order anymore and they'll want just total anarchy, which I don't think is good either, because what happens in that case is you take down one gang and then there's a vacuum and you just get another gang. You look at lawless areas in America where there's no police, where there's no government function, and it's completely run by gangs and crime because they fill that power vacuum. So you do need some power, but you want that to be a benevolent night watchman, minimal ability to oppress you power. And unfortunately, we had a real good gig going with that for a while, but we decided to just emergency powers. Here, you can do oppress me more. No. You take all my rights. We gave them away. Our governments gave them away, and we lost a really nice balance we had between a force for good and now just has become this fascist totalitarian state. So it's a good thing in a sense that people will maybe say, okay, I'm not going to act on just anything the government says, because clearly they've made some ridiculous decisions, and I'm going to think critically myself, because they can't gaslight me into thinking holding my family for weeks and weeks who have tested negatively 5 times has anything to do with health. So I'm going to at least think about things going forward. Leantric says they should run samples through all the possible viruses, ailments out there like flu, AV, and other respiratory illnesses, not just COVID. Yes, I think they should actually imprison us all until we have tested negative for every disease on the planet. Because, we got just one life. You get the flu, that's going to kill a lot of people. We cannot leave our houses. We're going to have to go full Wall-E. I want us all in hamster wheels for the rest of our lives. It's the only way we're going to do it. And maybe, we can have a little tube. Oh, this was something that Randall and I spoke about. I know we haven't done executive disorder in ages, and that's because there's just way too much going on right now. But we should have masks, and our door won't open to our house to leave it until we put the mask on. And we'll have little implants here that it clicks into and then locks when we put it on. And when we go outside, you have to scan a QR code for the little feeding tube. Yeah, it'll be a tube because having the mouth open will be far too dangerous. So you swipe a QR code and then the feeding tube will drop out, and you can put that in a McDonald's smoothie or something, because all small businesses will be dead since we can only go to a few shops. We don't want to be wandering around in our hamster balls too much. And then I was thinking, like, when you go to a rave with the music that bounces up on a t-shirt or something, you could have that on the mouth, and it will just be like a little display screen that can display. You can have little tabs here, display a smile, display a sad face, laugh. It'll be great. I think that's the only way we can go to be safe. If it saves one life, my friends. Mike R says, is there even an end game? It seems not right now. Here in why do I not know where that is? My brain is not working. It's still bonkers. Yeah. That's the thing. Now that we know, or at least the CDC have said, who knows what they say is true. Now that they've said that people who are vaccinated can get the Delta variant, I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me, because they're considering not allowing, or allowing vaccinated people to not do quarantine in both Australia and Canada, let them run off free when they land. But if they can spread COVID, then how are we ever going to how is quarantining other people going to prevent this spread? In fact, the people that are not vaccinated that are getting quarantined are going to be far more safe than the people who are vaccinated that can still spread COVID, that don't do quarantine and run around without masks and don't have the restrictions on them. So I don't know if vaccinated people can spread it. Yes, they say they're less likely to, but they still can. What is I don't see an end in sight. I don't. Okay, here's my prediction. Guys. I think that governments genuinely did want to come out with a vaccine that was going to stop COVID. I think that they didn't have enough time to do it. Obviously, this was rushed. I mean, they've been trying to study and make vaccines for coronaviruses for ages with a lot of lack of success. They did manage to come up with something that probably does reduce, they've done studies on it. It definitely does reduce a bit the severity of COVID that you catch, but you still catch it. And overall, they're finding the data come back showing the vaccine is not as effective as they hoped. Yes, it does something, not as effective as they hoped. 40% of hospitalizations in the UK, vaccinated people. And the government are sitting there like, damn it. Okay, we've got all these doses. I think Australia has 3 million extra AstraZeneca doses. We have to get rid of them. At the very least, it'll do a marginal amount of help, I guess. Push them on people. And then we'll just do a reopen and say, yep, we hit the threshold. We hit the threshold of vaccinated people. It's A-okay. And then they will go silent as heck when cases start spreading again, when people get cases when they're vaccinated, when there are outbreaks, they'll slowly reopen and just not talk about it, not go into full disaster crisis mode anymore. They'll just tell the media, yeah, people are getting COVID. Yeah, I know there's lots of cases, but they're vaccinated, so it's not as strong. Don't you worry about that. And just let it run through. I think that's going to be it. They're literally going to do what could have been done at the very beginning of this, which is herd immunity, let it run itself through. That's what I think is going to happen. Endgame is the fourth industrial revolution and the circular economy. Oh man, I had one of those nights, you guys probably know what I'm talking about, where you watch a YouTube video and it just like gets you fascinated in a subject, and you just sit there and like spend the rest of the night till 3 a.m. going through articles and information about it. And I had one of those nights with the fourth industrial revolution, but for some reason I cannot remember for the life of me the details of it. All right, by Klaus. Oh, yeah, of course. The fourth industrial revolution is Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum thing. That's why, because I absolutely talked about this like literally 4 months ago or something. All right. We stand on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has ever experienced before. We do not yet know just how it will unfold, but one thing is clear. The response to it must be integrated and comprehensive, involving all stakeholders of the global polity, from the public and private sectors to academia and civil society. That was a whole lot of nothing. Let's get to the meat of this. Okay, here we go. So the first industrial revolution used water and steam-powered mechanized production. The second used electric power to create mass production. The third used electronics and information technology to automate production. Now a fourth industrial revolution is building on the third, the digital revolution that has been occurring since the middle of the last century. It is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. So they're just being masked off that we're going to turn into WALL-E. We're all going to have little QR codes that we can scan when we talk to the government. We'll have digital passports. We'll have to scan everything, put all our data on the internet, blood sample, DNA samples, everything online. We'll have a little, digital passport with it all. We'll float around in our little hamster balls, our electronic hamster balls. This is the fourth digital revolution. I don't know, but I'm thinking the fifth digital revolution, or the fifth industrial revolution, is going to be or that Einstein quote where the Third World War will be fought with sticks and stones. I think it's going to be us saying, screw this. Like, you're literally going to have whole ass plots to shut down the internet because people will hate this so much because there's nothing human about it. There's nothing. The problem is, we've obviously been completely disconnected from our community, can't even go to our churches, can't even talk to other people. It's nice that we have this ability to at least talk to each other online. But, how much more amazing would this be if we were all sitting in a bar together having drinks? That would be so cool. But unfortunately, we're in a position where going to a bar for a lot of people isn't even possible. But going to a bar where you talk about these ideas that we talk about, you might lose your job kind of thing. We've a lot of us, even the dissidents who don't want it to be like this, have just been pushed online. And I don't know how to fix it, guys. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I put a lot of thought into it. Leantric says, I got 2 heart attacks, myocarditis, eye problems, nervous system issues, and disorders I haven't heard of until after I got the vaccine. Got COVID last year and got most of the long COVID symptoms. How was COVID when you had it? I've heard from some people, like I saw Michaela Peterson, she talked about how, it wasn't great, felt like a really, really bad flu. And I've talked to some people who had 0 symptoms other than they couldn't smell their shampoo. I reckon I have had it ages ago. I just haven't been able to get the antibodies test. Maybe I can get them in Canada, but they were just not available in Australia, which I found weird. And I do wonder if that's intentional because they don't want people thinking they've got, immunity because they already had COVID because they really want to get those vaccine rates up. I don't know. Or it would also be very bad if lots of people got the antibodies test and found out I had COVID and didn't even know and spread that information with others, because then that would make people take it less seriously in the government's eyes. So I think that's why a lot of the antibodies tests are not being allowed. Oh, shit. Leantric said they were in the ICU for 2 weeks. That's mental. You didn't have to go on a breathing machine or anything, did you? Of course I know that COVID can be really bad for some people, but of course also the data does show very, very few. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you're still here with us. Very glad you're still here with us. That's mental. Oh, model operator had it too. I would describe it as a bad cold, lasted longer than normal, and you can feel it in the lungs. Interesting. Okay, so let me ask you this. You had COVID, Leantric, and you were in the ICU. It was horrible for you. What do you think of lockdown, given that? Do you think that it's worthwhile, given what you went through? Do you think that the government response is reasonable, given what you went through? I want to, because, always comparing, it's very easy to talk about things when you've never experienced them. Like I was just saying, bureaucrats putting rules in that you have to quarantine with a toddler in a hotel for weeks. If they experienced that, I don't think they would support that policy. But I don't know if I've had COVID or not. So Leantric, in having COVID, in being in ICU for 2 weeks on a ventilator, do you support lockdown? And no bullying them, anyone in the chat. I'm very curious. Waiting. I'm sure they're typing. Weird. Sorry, my chat isn't updating in my actual system. It's only updating on the page. Leantric says, great question. No, I don't support it. Not if it is government imposed. I like that answer because I think you can still be someone that's like, I want to take COVID seriously. I want to get vaccinated. I want to, promote people using hand sanitizer, wearing masks, locking down. But I disagree with the government forcibly doing it. I disagree with the government, imprisoning people in hotels in their homes and shutting down their business. That's what's so frustrating is I do think there's a really reasonable middle ground here. And some would say, no, you need the government to mandate lockdown because people just won't do it if they don't, and this will all fail. But it's failing anyways. It's in Canada, you can pay $5,000 not to quarantine if you're rich enough, which is just exacerbating classism. Like, if you are rich enough, you cannot follow health mandates. So it's all this is doing is making life really, really difficult for poor people who, in a lot of cases, probably do want to take precautions. They probably would take precautions opening their store and doing all these things, but they just, they've got to follow the government policy. And unfortunately, governments tend to be very bad at finding that balance between doing good things and becoming fascists. I hate using the word fascist, and it sucks that it's been so misused, because fascism is something that is important to talk about and to point out in government behavior, when they're arresting political dissidents, shutting down actual journalism, not that there's much of that anymore, falsely imprisoning people. Like, fascism is, or the steps getting to it, are important to talk about, but unfortunately, that word has no meaning anymore. So we need to come up with a new name for fascism, I guess. Anthony says, do you intend to stream/make videos from Australian hotel quarantine? I'll probably try to film a video before I go in, or a video or two before I go in, because it can be hectic in hotel quarantine with an infant. I do think, though, that this is Leantric. I do think, though, that many businesses and other activities that are in person that can be done virtually or online should have that as an option. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I think there's definitely been mental health impacts of people who work in offices, or, a business where they're with a bunch of people. Now going at home can impact people mentally, not having that social sphere anymore. I also think it's been really helpful for a lot of people to show their business. Actually, I can work from home. People who have kids, mothers who have kids and want to watch them, or father who wants to be around their family more often. People that have like hour-long or 2-hour commutes to work, to go to an office, to do something they could do at home. That's actually saving hours out of their day that they can then go spend with family or with friends after work. People who want to go live outside of the cities and don't want to be in that, big gray giant, what is the word I'm looking for? Just living in a giant apartment in the city, who want to go live on a farm somewhere, but work for a business that's situated in the city. That's an amazing option for them. So in a weird way, there have been some positives that have come out of this. Not necessarily for me. I've always been doing online stuff, but no, I do think there has been some really strange positives that have come out of this. Anthony says, you already work from just about anywhere, Lauren. Yeah, exactly. And I'm happy that some people are able to do that too now. George says, the government shouldn't force people to lock down, but I'd be okay with forced vaccinations. Just open up the world at any cost. This can't go on any longer. Interesting. I have spoken to people who are also pro forced vaccinations. I personally cannot support that kind of thing until they, at the very least, you know what? No, I'm not for forced vaccinations at all. But if they were going to do something like what they do with polio vaccination or measles vaccination, where it's like, okay, you don't want to get it, fine. If you're not going to participate in this government's rules, then you're not going to get subsidy for daycare. You're not going to get this or that. You can go to a different private one, but you're not going to get government kind of services for that. And people can discriminate against you or whatever. But I would never support that kind of thing until the studies and research are actually even completed on this vaccine, which they're not. They're not done until September, November 2022. And even then, I have some moral qualms and questions about whether I even support that for other vaccines. Well, I do think like polio, measles, all that kind of vaccines are really good and people should get them. I don't know. I think there's I'd have to look into kind of the moral question about forcing people to do that. It does make sense that people have a duty and a responsibility to their community and society. And I don't believe we are just individuals that have no responsibility to the world around us. That's something that I would disagree with a lot of libertarians on. I think we are born helpless and we die helpless. And I don't want to live in a civilization where grandma who is 90 years old that can't walk anymore has to pull herself up by her bootstraps to feed herself or die alone. Just send her out on a brick of ice into the ocean to die because she can't be an individual. No. We have responsibility to our community, but how far does that responsibility go? Does that responsibility go to the level of, you can't even get other people sick? It's a really interesting moral philosophical question, because you do this with STDs, which I actually think is really reasonable. In California, they've got, or actually, no, California is a bad example because I think they reversed this. But in some states, they've got laws where it's like, if you give someone AIDS, you can be sued for manslaughter, especially, if you didn't tell them. So I think that's a good law, actually. And if there were some sort of vaccine for AIDS and you're giving it to people and you didn't get said vaccine despite being offered it for free or something, could that be you eschewing a social duty to your country? Man, these are big, tough questions that I need to think about. But there's definitely something right now. I'll just be honest with you, Dirgely. Right now, when the testing is not done, I don't think it's right to force anyone to take something that's in a trial period. I don't. But I do think that there are a lot of moral and philosophical arguments that I could definitely consider and conceive that would support what you're saying. And either way, I know we agree on we want this lockdown to be over. Do you guys like my Stitch shirt? It's my sister's. She saw it on Instagram and did the classic sister thing. How dare you steal my shirt? Leantric said, I work for a company that doesn't believe in working from home, as if it's based on some ideology or faith they choose to adhere to. It doesn't make sense either way. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have to look into it again, but I was having a conversation the other day and someone was telling me they've done research into it and people actually do more work from home, I think. You know what? I'm not going to make a definitive claim until I go back and look at the study. But I think the argument was that at work, people will just kind of do the bare minimum, get through the day. At home, you may break up your work throughout the day, but people will actually work longer. Because they're more comfortable, go get a tea, go get a coffee, sit down, work until 8 p.m., actually get everything done, because you have that time where it's, oh yeah, I can hop off and go do what I need to do and then come back and I'll work on it at 9 p.m. or whatever. Maybe I'll look at the studies for that. I'm working my next video that I'm publishing. I've actually written it all already, and I was going to film it last night, but I randomly decided to do that Hubbard video. My next video is on COVID, and I'll be talking about some stuff. Didn't want a YouTube channel anyways. Might as well get my channel removed for using the C word, and not Australians' favorite C word, the terrible one that none of us want to hear anymore. Corona. Oh, okay, guys, it has been an hour. I need to go down and have dinner with my family. Treasure these moments, because Lord knows that when I get back to Australia, we'll be locked in there for another 3 years and go into another global war or something. Honestly, I'd like to say, at one point, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I felt I could predict what was going to happen the next year, the next week, the next month. I had a pretty good idea of where that train was going. Now I'm like, no, tomorrow, like a nuclear bomb could literally drop somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. Thomas says, I don't support forced vaccinations. I still don't trust the COVID vax, but I just had the Pfizer shot yesterday. So far, my arm feels like it's being repeatedly punched, but that's the worst of it. Well, I'm glad you're feeling okay. And here's the thing, guys. Like, I really enjoy that we can have these conversations, because I'm super supportive of people who want to get vaxxed, and I'm super supportive of people who don't want to do it. Like, it's because it's in this experimental phase. It is your choice if you want to do it, and I completely respect your thoughts on it. It is a really complex issue. It is something that has torn a lot of people apart, which I don't think it should in the way that it has. I really don't think it should. I think if the conversation were more healthy around it, we would make a lot more progress on it, and make a lot more progress just in health steps moving forward anyways. I think trying to force people and being so forceful about it has made people that were on the edge, maybe I'll get the vax, maybe I won't, go, hell no. All right. Scott says, with AIDS and other STDs, you're talking about with people who have the disease and spread it. Forced vax is for people who don't have it. Big no. See, that's also an interesting angle. That's what I mean. I actually have not fully fleshed out these arguments in my head yet. A lot of topics I have, but this has obviously been an issue that's only come about the last year, and I still need to go through all of the moral and ethical questions in my head. And I realize governments don't really have time to do that when we're in a mode of crisis or whatever, but I do. So I'm going to flesh that out in my head. All right, everyone. It was so lovely to chat to you all, read your comments. You're making me laugh, I'm so happy here in Canada. It's really good to just be home, be here, and I've got lots of content ready. I'm so excited to be going on Twitch and doing some debates again. I think it'll be really, really good. And of course, you guys will still get the most real chats, the most real talks while I'm doing live stream debates. You will always be my home base to come back to for feedback, thoughts, and to cheer me up when shit's crazy. And hopefully I do the same for you. Almost just spilled my beer everywhere. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night. I will tell you when the Euro stream is coming up because I will make one. Georgia, you probably tell me what a reasonable time for that would be. Leanne, I know as well, although Leanne isn't watching this right now. And I still have to send out some of the mail for people that won the draw last time. But things got really, really crazy with trying to get the government to allow me to leave the country. So I will be able to sort that out these next couple weeks. All right, everyone. Bye.